Welcome to On Writing with Onkarabile, a show that aims to promote reading and writing in the communities. We seek to restore pride and dignity of Africans through the power of reading and writing. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Onkarabile Mokoto and I am your host. Please don't forget to subscribe, to share online, as we are starting our conversation today with Mr. Thokozani Magagula, who is the founder of an online magazine called Published Afrika. And he is here, he's joining me through Skype to share more about what he is doing on the magazine. Mr. Thokozani Magagula, thank you so much, sir, for coming to the show.
Thanks for the invite, boss.
Yes, sir. I just want us to talk about the good work that you are doing, having an online magazine. But something that, triggered me is that you have been in a print magazine for about 10 years. You were chief editor for Daily Sun, in Mpumalanga for 10 years. But then you decided to go for online. So I was asking myself a question. Why didn't you go for print instead of online? So maybe if you can just elaborate on that one.
Okay, just a quick correction. I've been in the journalism space for 16 years.
Oh, okay.
But working for Daily Sun, I was their bureau chief, actually, not the chief editor.
Okay.
Their bureau chief for the Mpumalanga province. It's a position I held for 10 years. So
okay.
I've been with Daily Sun for 16 years, but as a journalist, an ordinary journalist, it was for 6 years. And then as their bureau chief in Mpumalanga, it was for 10 years.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I actually left Media 24, which is the company that owns Daily Sun. I left Media 24 in 2017 and wrote my first book. So actually, coming to the magazine thing, it only started in 2021. So from 2017 to 2021, I've been marketing the two books that I've published. So the magazine only started working in 2021.
Okay. But what drove you to go for online? Because we know Daily Sun is not an online magazine. As much as you can read online, but it's based mostly on printing, right? So what pushed you to why not decide to go to online instead of maybe copying what they are doing?
Well, let's quickly make the distinction clear. First of all, Daily Sun, it's a tablet newspaper. It carries news, mostly hard news, while Published Afrika magazine is a literary magazine, okay. Meaning we only stick to everything literary, your books. We also cover art. We try to cover a bit of music where we can. We also, do theater as well as our television industry. So it's actually two different things.
Okay.
When I left Media 24, let's just say I basically gave up everything that is to do with news as we know it.
Oh, yeah.
It on TV, as you will see it on ENCA. I practically left all that behind. So a literary magazine is something totally different from what news is. But as far as, why we had to go online, I think, as you might have noticed, practically everything now is going on the online space. It's when you go even to a filling station to buy a newspaper, chances are you might find only 20 copies. If these people are not printing as much as past, because many people are now online.
Yes.
In a bus, you see someone from Durban to Cape Town is actually reading the news on their phone. They might walk into a filling station, but they'll just grab a can of Coke and go back to the bus because everything is now online. There's no longer that need to really buy a physical newspaper. But at the same time, the literary space is a very small community. It's so small, we decided that let's first see if we can build our numbers online. We do want to, go as far as to have copies that you can grab at the filling station.
Mm-hmm.
But at the moment, we don't think we are there yet.
Okay.
Whenever we have an edition coming out, when we say we had one big circulation, we could be saying we've had 15,000 downloads. So that's not that big a number as would like to say it. So online for now seems like the way to go.
Okay, and now it brings me to my question. Like you said, you made a distinction. What really? Okay, I understand that you are an author yourself, but apart from that background as an author, what maybe other things that pushed you to go for specifically literary magazine instead of copying, as you have said, copying what like the news as a whole? Apart from you as an author, what really pushed you to choose specifically literary?
It's a bit difficult again to differentiate between the two. You know why? When I published my first book, I struggled to market it.
Okay.
Because you go to newspapers, guys. Hi, most of the guys knew me, but I could come to a journalist and say, "Here's a story. This is a book I've written. It's about 1, 2, 3," and then you'll have to obviously take the story to his editor.
Yes.
And at the time, it was a bit difficult to gain the exposure the book needed, mainly because I wasn't this known author that's out there. So, you could go to Sowetan, for example, and propose your story. But when you grab a copy of Daily Sun tomorrow morning, they have Fred Khumalo on the cover. Sowetan has Thokozani Magagula. Who is this? So the reader will actually buy the Sowetan instead.
Yeah.
Will buy Daily Sun instead of Sowetan because Daily Sun has Fred Khumalo. He's known. He's out there. Thokozani, no one knows him.
Yeah.
So there was that problem. So having been a journalist myself, I understood where my former colleagues were coming from. It was difficult for them to actually publish someone in the literary space who wasn't as yet known.
Yes.
So that's why I felt, let me see if the struggles that I've gone through, what if I try and assist those other authors who could be going through the same thing?
Yes.
So that's why we felt, let's start a literary magazine that will specifically be focused on up-and-coming authors.
Oh, no, that's great. That's great, Mr. Thokozani. And if you just go back a little bit, your experience in Media 24, or maybe specifically on Telesun, can you say, as much as you have made it very clear, the literary, the distinction, but is there something that you have learned from the Media 24 that actually contributed to published Africa online literary magazine?
Well, not just at Media 24. Just having been a journalist.
Okay.
It helped a lot. I now I get to you could give me a story, and someone else might look at it and say, but this is a dull, boring story. But having specially worked for a tabloid newspaper, you can give me a picture of a tree and that will smash out a great story for you.
Because I was gonna ask, when you were explaining, I was gonna ask that since now you made the difference between like your story, your struggle, your Fred Khumalo and you. Now I was asking if maybe someone now comes to you, and is not a well-known author. And then how are you going to now maneuver around it? Are you also going to use the same system that they use? Like your colleague, you said you understood where they come from. Are you also going to now use the same system because it's a fact that maybe you want to sell, the story needs to sell?
There isn't a boring story out there. Every story is worth telling. Every story is interesting. I think the only difference is how you write it. It's how you present it.
Yes.
So yes, having worked for Media 24 afforded me that ability, that skill of knowing which angle to approach a story. and making it interesting for someone who will be reading it.
Okay.
So yeah.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. So you mentioned something when I was asking you the question of why online, and which you explained very, very clear. But you said it's not that you don't want to go for printing. I mean, it's the matter of now you are starting and you just want to see the numbers and stuff until it grew to a certain stage. Now, I was going to ask you, one of the questions that I was going to ask you is that, do you think print media has lost its relevancy since now a lot of people are going for online? But I think you did answer a little bit when you spoke about the number. I don't know if maybe you'll want to unpack it a little bit, or what you have explained is okay.
Yeah. No, it actually hasn't. My dad, he's like 72 now. Every morning he wakes up and goes to a filling station to buy Daily Sun, to buy Sowetan. And I think having physical copies, it's still important for dinosaurs like my dad. Yeah, because that market will always be there. You can give my dad a smartphone, he wouldn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
That's just him. Every time when he has to read the news, he has to physically hold the copy in his hands. It goes the same with books. There are people who will tell you that they will never read an ebook. And,
yes.
That feeling of holding a physical copy in your hand, for some people, I'm one of those people, by the way.
Yeah. No, me too.
So that market will always be there. It will always be relevant.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
No.
It also, for even people who are in the rural areas where there's no internet connection at all, that's where, such copies are, and they will always remain relevant to those people.
Okay, Mr. Thokozani. And I mean, you mentioned earlier that you also work with Department of Arts, right? Can you just maybe explain a little bit what your collaboration with the Department of Arts? I think even the arts, sport and culture.
It's not necessarily a collaboration. What I actually meant earlier on was that as much as we are a literary magazine, but we also cover art and craft. We also, do a bit of music. We have a very good working relationship with Nondalana Ngema. I don't know if you know him, his brother Tumbongeni Ngema.
Yes.
We have a good working relationship with Christy Miller. She's the author who won the 2016 International Wilbur Smith Adventure Writing Competition. We are building relationships with every issue that comes out. There's a couple of guys we are working with now who are based in Lesotho as well as in Botswana. So, we everywhere where there's a creativity happening, we want to be there. We want to cover that. As long as it's art, as long as it's craft, we want to cover that. With the Department of Arts and Culture, every year, I think they do issue calls for submissions, especially for books. So we always submit some books to them. Last year, was it last year? No, early this year, there are some books that they accepted by one of our authors. His name is Freeman Maluleke. Last year, it was 4 books. This year, it's only been the Gauteng Department of Education. It accepted 11 of our books. So, like everywhere, we are always on the lookout for calls for submissions from the various provincial departments, and we submit and wait for their assessments.
Okay, now I understand. But Mr. Thokozani, we are just going to need to go for a short break. And when we come back, I want us, you mentioned something that everywhere where there is creativity, you guys go there and make sure that you cover, the story. When we come back, I want you to, share with us, how do you actually source the people that are featured in the magazine? Maybe you can just unpack, or go in details what you just mentioned, that everywhere where there is creativity, you guys go there. So you'll just go in details when we come back. and share with us how do you actually source people that are featured in your magazine. But for now, let's just go for a short break, then we will come back shortly. Welcome back to On Writing with Onkarabile, a show that aims to promote reading and writing in the communities. We are still having Mr. Thokozani Magagula, who is the founder of an online magazine called Published Afrika, and he is here to share more on what is a good job that he is doing on the literary space. Mr. Thokozani, before we went for break, I had asked you, to share with us on how you actually source or how can one actually find themselves maybe featured in your magazine?
With every person you meet, that person, automatically becomes a contact. At least that's how, I've always worked in my 16-year journalism career. At times you will get a call from Onkarabile because Onkarabile has met someone he feels, can be a good story for the magazine. And, we'll get in touch with that person, hear the story out, and if it is a good story, it will definitely be in the magazine. We also, of course, have to keep our ear on the ground for what is happening. There's been a number of times where we've scooped even the mainstream newspapers that are out there on big stories that have been happening in the country, in the literary space. I think it was 3-4 times, just by keeping our ear on the ground on stories. Of course, people also give us a call. Most of the time, it will be someone who has published a book and is just trying to get exposure for it. We also try to do a story based on what that person has given us. So mostly that's how we source our stories. Some, of course, come as media statements or press releases, which we have to follow up because you won't just take a press release as it is and simply put it on the magazine.
Yes. All right, Mr. Thokozani. And one thing that I want to understand. I mean, you mentioned something that if there's something that has taught you, as a journalist yourself, you have learned a lot, and obviously which contributed for you founding the magazine. Now, I want to know, you also have people, in that contribute to your magazine. You're not the only person. There are people who write articles in your magazine. Now, I want to know if someone wants to become a part of that, he doesn't want the story to be featured, but he wants to be part of you. Must the person be a qualified journalist, just like yourself?
At the moment, at least, we can take anyone on as long as they just have the passion for the craft. We can take them on.
Okay.
They don't have to be qualified.
All right. No, I get you. And you mentioned something, that brings me to my next question now. That you got funding from National Arts, right? Now, because I wanted to ask, how do you guys monetize your online magazine? Because, when it comes to printing, my general knowledge is that when it comes to print magazine, obviously they will sell copies, hard copies, right? But an online, how do you guys monetize an online magazine?
Okay. With print, actually the selling of copies doesn't even come anywhere near funding the whole process.
Is it?
No, it doesn't come close. It doesn't even pay the phone bill.
Okay.
What brings in the money is the adverts, the advertisements.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So even with us, we try to get a little bit of some of our funding from that.
Okay.
As I was explaining earlier, that if someone there will be someone who approaches you and says, I want to be featured in the newspaper. But if you can see that clearly this person just wants to market themselves, we will rather give them an advertorial.
Okay.
Your work will still get the exposure you need, but at the same time, we also have to keep the presses rolling.
Oh, okay.
Advertisements counts even with newspapers. It counts, etc. Yeah.
All right. So then, if let's say you see that my story is not about just a story, but is more of an advert, right? How how many followers do you have? Am I sure that I'm gonna pay for what I'm gonna get? You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what? That's why even when we price our adverts, we don't price them the same way you'll find an advert being priced on Ram magazine, for example. We are a literary magazine, which means our circulation is much smaller than your ordinary magazines, your Ram magazines. So we also charge a nominal fee for our adverts, because the purpose of the magazine, it's not really to make money. I don't know if I explained that earlier. It's not really to make money per se, but it's just to contribute to literacy in the country, in SADC, in Africa. That's basically why we established it. To do that. But at the same time, we do have people who are giving of their time and energy to keep the magazine running.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. No, it's clear. And now, you are raising something to me now. You said like you wanted to contribute in the literacy when it comes to like the Africa as a whole. That brings me to the name of the magazine, Published Africa. Yeah. Where does the name come from?
It was way too long, so we had to shorten it to something short as well. At the same time, that will be kind of catchy.
Okay.
It tells you what we and it tells you where we are located.
Okay.
So that's how we arrived at the name.
Oh, okay. All right.
And our slogan is changing Africa's narrative. So it's I don't know if you saw it right underneath the name of the magazine.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't notice.
Didn't check. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where the name came from.
Oh, okay. All right. And so far, Mr. Thokozani, do you have some testimonies, of people who came forward and say, hey, Mr. Thokozani, thank you so much. Since I was featured in the magazine, I saw a difference. Maybe my book sales, increase and like something like that. Do you have some testimonies that actually maybe keep you going?
Yeah, quite a lot. If there were no such tangible results, we would not be doing this anymore. We can actually see the effort we are putting into the work. That's what is actually keeping us going. To get that call, to get that email.
Yeah.
That what used to sell like 5 copies a month. Since I've been in your magazine, I've had orders of so many copies. Most people don't just download the magazine and that's where it ends. We've noticed that people will download the magazine and also share it amongst themselves over WhatsApp. I met someone in Springs the other day who had the magazine. It was forwarded to him by someone else via WhatsApp. So it's not just on the numbers we can see, but there are also numbers that we can't see because people are also sharing it amongst themselves.
Yes.
So it does quite reach a whole number of people that we can't even count.
Yeah. No, thanks, Mr. Thokozani. We are going for our last break, and then when we come back, Mr. Thokozani, we are going to wrap up this inspirational conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going for a short break. Stay tuned.
The Creative Corner with Nolu, a cozy and inspiring show that features interviews with artists, showcases their work, challenges, and successes. Every Tuesday at 2 p.m. only on Share Radio. Tune in live on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. This is Share Radio.
Welcome back to On Writing with Onkarabile, a show that aims to promote reading and writing in the community. So please don't forget to subscribe to Share Online, where we inform, educate, empower and entertain. And we are still having Mr. Thokozani Magagula, the founder of Published Africa Online Literary Magazine. And we are wrapping up our conversation, very inspirational conversation. Mr. Thokozani, I'm just asking myself a question that someone is watching this interview and is having a desire of starting their own magazine. Maybe the advice that you can give to such people.
Well, I think a background of what you want to do is important. Because, if I decide today that I want to be a footballer, but I don't have the skills, it's important to have a bit of a know-how of what you want to do. As you said earlier, this is not a one-man thing that you can do. I don't have the skills to do everything that's supposed to be done. I'm a journalist. That's what I've been doing my whole life. If it wasn't for my partner, Sugolu Shemdlongwa, I don't think I'll be able to do what I do. She's the one who actually designs the magazine, as you see it when you page, from one page to the last. She's the one who does the layout of the magazine. She designs the whole thing. I chase the stories. I speak to the few journalists that we have. I edit their stories. That's what I do. That's what I'm good at. So it's actually a team thing. You can't do it on your own. Put together a team. Every person, will have to do what he knows best in the team. And I'm sure anyone can do it as long as you are able to put that one team together.
No, I think that's powerful. The issue of the team is powerful because, I wanted to, when you spoke about the background, as much as I 100% agree, but I wanted to ask if, I've had this thing of, a parent who is not educated, but the parent invest in their kids' education. Say, Mina, I'm not educated, but I want you, my child, to be educated. So I wanted to ask if there's someone who this person doesn't have a background, but that person has the desire when it comes to reading and writing. When it comes to literacy, he may not be able to write, may not be able to read, but he or she has that passion to see people reading, people writing, So, but now you have mentioned the issue of the team. I think it also falls under that, you can just want a very good team that will have skills that you don't have, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if you saw the story of, what's his name, the guy who sells books? Of, what's his name? Usbutigi, in our last edition. Usbutigi doesn't write.
Okay.
He's not an author.
Yes.
But he has passion, exactly what you were talking about. He has the passion of seeing people out there read, getting educated. So he decided to be an independent bookseller. He's contributing to the literary space without putting pen to paper.
Great.
So, there's room for everyone to can contribute if you want to. You can. You just have to find your niche. Or what you are good at and how can that help to contribute to the space.
No, that's great. And let's talk about you start. When did you start the magazine? You said you started the magazine in
2021.
2021. You're persistent. Let's talk about persistent. Maybe the very same person that you just advised now, who want to start the magazine. When it comes to the issue of persistent, being patient at your craft, what can you say to the person? Because sometimes you want things to, happen magically, or overnight. So, but you have said yourself earlier, you have said something very important when you said you don't think you are there yet. You still want to build followers. You don't think you are still yet there, but you are still pushing. So, what can you say to that person?
Exactly what you've just said right now. If this is really what you want to do, you just have to be patient and push at it. Every month when we are pushing for yet another edition, I don't know if you've noticed that we don't just feature authors, but there's also a segment where we publish calls for submissions.
Yes.
From practically everywhere.
Yes, I saw. Yes.
In the world. We do get calls or WhatsApp text from people asking if there are any writing competitions that we know about. If such things are also one of those things that pushes us to have an issue out. People want to enter these competitions. They want to grow their crafts. And now when you are sitting there and you have all this information, you yourself, you start to feel as if you are robbing something. You are robbing people of something. You have the information. Let's get the issue out. Let's get the edition out, put everything in it so that people can just get it from there. So it's that. I don't know if you also noticed we had a short story writing competition.
Yes.
We have that came out of the magazine itself. We discovered 23 up and coming authors that we unadded in South Africa, as well as some of them are from. There was one guy from Uganda, Zambia, and Lesotho, and Botswana. So these people are out there. They are waiting for these opportunities. You can give them to these people. That's what keeps us going, knowing that there are people out there who can benefit from what we have, from what we possess. So, even that as well. It's not necessarily persistence, but just knowing that I have something that can benefit someone else.
No.
That's what also. Yeah.
Great, Mr. Thokozani. If people want to get hold of you, Mr. Thokozani, it's either they want to contribute towards the magazine, they want maybe advice about, writing a book or being featured in your magazine. Where can they get you?
You can leave my cell phone number and our email address.
Yes, you can.
Our email address is info@publishedafrica. Our published, it's without an E, and then Africa, it's with a K, not a C.
That is very important too.
It's published info@publishedafrica.com. My cell number, it's also on WhatsApp, it's 083-487-4440.
Okay, and on social media, also on social media?
Yeah, I'm also on Facebook, I'm Thokozani Promise. And on Twitter, it's Published Africa.
Okay. And the magazine, you have also have a page for the magazine that people can go and actually read some stories?
On Facebook, it's Published Africa Magazine.
On Facebook?
On Facebook, it's Published Africa Magazine.
Okay. Mm-hmm. No, Mr. Thokozani, thank you so much for your time. We have come to the end of our show. Thank you so much for making time and share that insightful information about online magazine. And I wish all the best and more followers, as you have said that you are pushing for more followers.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our show. That was On Writing with Onkarabile, a show that aims to promote reading and writing in the communities. Please don't forget to subscribe, to share online, where we inform, educate, empower, and entertain. Let's meet next time, same place on Share Online.